Founding father, leading publisher, and cutting-edge inventor and scientist, Benjamin Franklin is one of the most revered figures in our history. He's long been referred to as the first American, helping shape what this country was to become. But behind that iconic image on the $100 bill lies an untold world of danger and deception that has remained a secret until now. Learn the shocking true story behind Benjamin Franklin's infamous kite, for his experiments with electricity held the key to something quite ominous.
Franklin predicted a storm was coming, but it was not the kind any of us imagined.
And for the first time ever, we expose Franklin's greatest experiment, one that attempted to push the boundaries between life and death. Tonight, brave the stormy weather and traverse the troubling secrets of our nation's past. As American History Uncovered presents The Shocking Life of Benjamin Franklin.
Writer, inventor, politician, many have called Ben Franklin the first citizen of the 18th century. As a boy, he was apprenticed to his brother as a printer, which exposed him to new books and ideas. Franklin's biggest literary and financial success was Poor Richard's Almanac, filled with illustrations, proverbs, and parables of his own creation. As an inventor, Franklin is best known for his work in electrical theory.
What he did as an experimenter in electricity was to establish the laws by which electricity operates, how to store electricity, how to use it. He snatched lightning from the skies and scepters from the hands of tyrants.
He believed lightning was just a more powerful version of the spark from a Leyden jar. To prove his theory, he conducted his famous experiment with the kite and the key. As a politician, he still stands as one of America's most effective statesmen and ambassadors. In the summer of 1776, Franklin was part of the five-man committee that would draw up the document declaring American independence. Desperately in need of arms, the self-declared independent United States looked to France. When it came time to decide whom to send on this important mission, they chose Franklin. Franklin was able to convince the French to help the American cause and was very popular in French society. One woman invited him to spend a summer's night with her. Franklin asked to postpone until winter, when nights were longer. Women of all ages threw themselves at him.
Women liked Franklin for a very simple reason, because he paid attention to them.
Back in America, Franklin represented Pennsylvania at the Constitutional Convention of 1787 and guided the near-deadlocked delegates towards a compromise on the new Declaration of Independence. George Washington said of Franklin, "If to be admired for talents, esteemed for patriotism, loved for philanthropy, can gratify the human mind, you, sir, have not lived in vain."
What role did print play, or being a printer play, in Franklin's life? Well, it was his occupation for his entire working life until his retirement, from his apprenticeship to his older brother in Boston when he was very young, to his retirement at age 42. He did take an early retirement. In Franklin's mind, this idea of improvement is all bound up with books and writing. In his day, all knowledge was in books, and one of his basic ideas that, of course, he didn't invent, but that he certainly embraced, is that knowledge is power. Well, this was an age when most politicians, most preachers, anyway, most men in public positions got that way because they were good at speaking, and Franklin was not. What he was good at, of course, was writing. He was probably the best writer in America in the 18th century, and many of Franklin's writings were not written in the first person anyway. He wasn't writing as Benjamin Franklin. He used pseudonyms, but not the way that a lot of writers at his time used pseudonyms, that is, just as a way of disguising his true name. He used pseudonyms that were part of a whole character that he created. And so when he wrote Poor Richard's Almanac in the pseudonym of Poor Richard was a character who had a lot of different traits, sort of different from Franklin in many ways. His first writings that he published in his brother's newspaper, without his brother even knowing who had submitted them, they were actually tucked under the door in the middle of the night, were a series of essays in the character of an old widow named Silence Dogood. who had a lot of bees in her bonnet. And nobody knew it was Franklin because the character seemed so real. They figured it must be an actual widow in Boston who was writing these things. In some of his writings he used characters who were African American or Arabic. He had a whole series of characters that he used to, and he almost never used the same one twice.